Hello, everybody, and welcome to Lunch and Learn today. I'm Jeremy, leading as I have been all week. Thank you all for joining. Today, I will be happy to discuss any questions we have. So if we have any questions, please post them in the Q&A. Happy to discuss whatever we need to, take a look at whatever things we've got, and we can talk about some stuff. But in the meantime, let me just click through some of the usual things, highlight what we've got going on, and things like that, and then we can talk. So let's switch my screen here real quick. If you would like to check out any of our additional content or anything we have going on, we've got our YouTube channel, Decisions Training, where we're posting a number of uh, different video content things, our Lunch and Learn stuff like that. We've got a very recent video about Parquet files, since that's something new or newer-ish from our 9.11 update. So if you're curious about that, or if that's something that sticks out to you, we've got a new video on that, as well as a couple other great things, Lunch and Learn content. And if you ever have suggestions for content we can put on there, we are always open to suggestions. If you're curious, you can check out marketplace.decisions.com. Here we've got loads of cool, we've got accelerators and other applications and things that you can just read about and even install into your Decisions instance. So if you're curious about the autocomplete questionnaire or Cortex or any of these other really neat things, you can check them out. Try them out. Maybe they'll give you some useful stuff to build or work with in your system. And then we've also got decisions.com/events. Great place to check out on any events we have coming up. So we have our roadmap review that's bi-weekly. That was actually yesterday. That we just had that, so we'll have another one in a couple weeks. We also have a webinar coming up at the end of this month on the 24th, I believe. So if you're curious about how Foster's uses decisions, and if any of that is interesting to you, you could check that out as well. There will be another one in August as well. So pretty cool things, decisions.com/events, if you're curious about anything. Otherwise, we can go ahead and start talking about any questions that we have. So we do have one question already. That's from James. So James, go ahead. You have a question about including images in HTML text for emails or HTML displays.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Cool. So, yeah, I'm sure this is doable. I just haven't figured it out yet. But I want to be able to basically get an image from like a data source, like a data file data, like
Mhm.
read it from a server within a step, and then use that image in a say an HTML area, like on an email included in there. So
Mhm.
instead of grabbing the image, normally like you would in an HTML by just selecting it from your file, I want to be able to pass it
Right.
and display it. And I don't know if I'm just not thinking right or just hadn't figured out how to do that. So I thought I'd jump on here and ask. Oh, and by the way, Dart seems to be down on your site.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I asked that question there and it's just like sits there. I
Interesting.
don't get that either. So I don't know if it's my connection or,
Maybe just a connection or something.
but yeah, I'm in the decision site and I just asked, I typed that in today and it just kind of sat there and looked at me and I didn't do anything. Yeah, it seems to be working. All right, maybe it's up
Yeah.
now.
Maybe it's just on your end. I don't know why that would be happening. What version are you on, just in case that matters? I can ask.
910.
910. I can
Yeah.
ask around and see if anyone else has experienced anything. But oh, actually, maybe. No, that might be the case. It might not actually load. Jasmine on our side thinks that she saw a post about it actually on our
Okay.
side, and someone on our team is actually already looking into it. So you might be right. Maybe
Okay.
this is as far as I can get to because usually it would have responded by now.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, but it looks like someone's looking into it. So thank you, Jasmine,
Cool.
for letting us know that too. Yeah. Okay. Back to this. Creative flow. I'm just gonna create a file data item real quick. Okay. So, just to clarify, so you got some kind of file data coming in from a
Right,
step or whatever.
right.
That I can just grab some random dummy image I have somewhere. Let's see here. Okay. All right. Random image, whatever. Email. And then you're saying like on the body you've got like a merge HTML or something like that,
Yeah, yeah,
and you want to try to pass that
yeah.
image in.
Actually, in mine, I'm passing in the HTML, but it doesn't matter either way.
Yeah, it's that part shouldn't change anything.
Right.
And then, so if I just grab the file, curious how that looks, just to see this first, if that affects anything. Obviously, that's going to be a whole thing.
Yeah,
Obviously, it
that's
should
the
have a whole
actual
bunch of
image right
stuff.
there.
Yeah, it would just send to me, but it goes off and on when it's sending the data, actually sending it to me sometimes. Spelled my name right. It should work. Of course, it's not going to send me that unless it got sent to my junk or something. Oh, actually, no, that's an old text. Obviously, that just did that. I don't think you can get that from a flow either. Yeah, I don't know if we have any specific documentation on this either, but I find it hard to believe that there would not be a way to do this. So I'm sure there's something here.
Yeah, because
And
we have,
obviously you can attach it, but I'm assuming you want this to
no, I
like be
want it in the
embedded
email
in the actual
because,
email.
yeah, our departments, for security purposes, we have like our branding and that we want to put into our emails and not necessarily a template, but just as we create the emails, we go out and we grab based on the department, we put their logo in there.
Hmm.
That's what we want to do, but I'm having trouble doing that. I've got it all set up to store them, but I can't grab them and put them in the email.
Right. Display it on a form and see if that does anything
Yeah.
different. Okay, so grab a I need to reset all this stuff. I have way too many things sitting in here that I have not used since ages ago. Age. Button. Switch to disconnected. Huh, okay. If that changed anything. Oh, it's just gonna oh, that's the link to open the image. That's the way I had that set up. Well, I mean, it does read the image, I guess. That's specifically through a link, but it does actually display the stuff, including the image that I passed in. Um, so it looks like it should at least somewhat allow you just by simply passing the image in work in that way.
I think if you go to and click inline instead of dialogue, you can get rid of that open box too, and it should just put it there. Because I often use these without the open. Um, is it in behavior or
Which settings?
down where you can, yeah, right there, display
Oh,
mode.
I see. Yeah. There.
Yeah, see that should just display what's over there
Just
instead of
display it immediately. Yeah.
using a link.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it pulls the image. So if it's not
So,
going through in the email, maybe it's something with the email that is not something that I'm not 100% sure on there. But normally, at least, if you have something that is file data,
hmm.
just simply getting passed in, it should have no problem displaying it.
Okay, so I mean, if you don't have any other questions, let's try one more thing. Do
Sure.
a like the merge text box with an HTML, feed that image into that, and then put that on the form and in the email and see if it behaves
You just mean
differently.
like like create data
Yeah,
onto it,
no,
something like that.
you can create the data the same way, just like you did, but put a one of those was it merge text where you're creating text.
Right.
Um, what is it called? That step, the pick or create text or something like that. Um,
Oh, the text merge?
yes, that.
This?
And say HTML. Yeah, you got HTML there. Now bring it into that. The result. Okay. I wonder if that's fed into the form versus fed into the email, whether it displays differently.
I've never actually built it this way.
Plus on the input data in the
Ah,
upper
yep,
right.
there it is. That's weird. I don't know why they wouldn't just put it at the top like normal things.
Yeah.
Okay, file data, grab it, spell image correctly. that, we can just grab the file data from my create data step.
Now, yeah, read that both into the, yeah, that HTML and then the form one and see if it behaves.
This will come from my result.
Right, and same with that one.
This will also come from my result. If that changed anything.
Okay, so that
Looks
worked.
exactly the same.
How does your email look though? I can't see that.
It looks to be set up the same. I'm still just not receiving the email in my actual inbox.
Oh, you're
though.
not actually receiving it?
No, that's why I think I just need to check some settings or something or make sure that it's
Oh,
normally it
okay.
does, but sometimes it's iffy on when it sends me when I'm doing my testing. I'd have to double check some stuff later
Okay,
on why it's not sending to me, but
yeah. All right, I'll try that again, but I think I tried that and it didn't work. You're just passing
yeah.
the whole file data, right? And displaying
Yep.
it. Okay,
Yeah, this is where I just on my create data stuff, I just simply grabbed it,
right.
whatever, and then that I'm just passing into the merge, and then I'm passing the whole merge into those.
Yeah. All right.
And then yeah,
I'll try
on
that
the actual
again, see if
merge.
it works. Yeah.
Yep, all I do is click that. Maybe even just if it's because if it's the email that's the problem, maybe do like this quick little form or something to see if it changes it. Because if
Yeah.
that's the case, maybe it's just a problem with the email part, and then we
Yeah.
have
Well,
to
I'm
do
able to
that
get
sort
it.
of investigating.
I'm able to get in, like if I select an image off my server, I can put it in there, no problem. It's just
Right,
that's not how we want to do it. But
right,
yeah.
yeah, that makes
All
sense.
right. I'll check that again.
Okay.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Right. All right, we have another question from Manal. I'll let you add if you have anything, but I'll read your question out loud, Manal. I would like to know if there is a better way to display a 40-column data repeater or how you would design it efficiently and still display nicely to users once saved. Interesting. All right, I think I have a data repeater over here. Yeah, I have a data repeater from some question that you asked me ages ago. All right. Well, you should have the ability to speak if you want to add anything. So you're saying you have a data repeater like this, and there's a boatload of columns, right? That you're
Yes.
trying to do, and you just want it to look nicer.
Yeah, so I was working on it and I did multiple like test runs to show it better. So I end up going with sub-dialog form because that's the one way to like kind of have it nicely. So I'm not doing it on the main form. But
Hmm.
then when I was trying to display it, so like how you do save for later and the user sees it again, then when I'm like, how would I show them that nicely? So I was just wondering like if you guys have any, like as an expert, like if you have any best practices how to deal with like these big data repeaters and show them, that's my biggest concern, like nicely to the users.
By show them, you just mean like the general display, or like
Yes,
after you? Okay,
after you save. So for example, if you added 50, well, yes, so in these data repeaters, they will be adding like 60 records too. So if they
right.
added 60 records, how would you recommend showing them?
And just to clarify, by 60, you mean like they've added 60 data repeater rows,
Yes.
or the data repeater has multiple, like a ton of columns?
So it has 40 columns, and then the
Okay,
users can add up to 60 rows of
got
data
it.
in it. So it's ginormous.
Right. Yeah, as far as best practices go, I do know we do kind of push a lot of trying to chunk things to be smaller if possible.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know if you've looked too much at like the health score stuff,
Okay.
or not, but there is find where's our health score? There we go. We do have like a lot of things that we use to calculate health score to, give you like graded grades on these, like these are all my health scores and stuff like that if you're trying to track data. But one of the things we do emphasize on forms is forms with certain like higher levels of controls on them cause warnings or like decrease health score. Because as a general best practice, the more stuff you have on a form, the harder in general it is going to be to like display that kind of thing. And so I think that's exactly what you're running into here, since you have, 40 columns, that's implying that you're going to have at least, presumably at least one form control in each of them. And that's already hitting above our like main form control count that we have for like dropping the health score, I think, to 0 is above 20. Um, and so in general, doing that is already kind of, I guess, against best practice in that way, and that we try to like emphasize chunking things a little bit better to try to make the design a little bit nicer. So I think
Mhm.
that's probably part of the issue, is just having so many columns. Understand if it's needed, like obviously you want to be able to access all those columns and things. It just makes it a lot harder to manage design wise. And so I think that's part of the kind of difficulty of everything like that. So something to kind of keep in mind there. Uh,
Gotcha.
to just be careful with. And if you can, I understand if it's difficult with your
Mhm.
specific, use case, chunk it in a different way that may be useful. Um, as far as like displaying all of those, because that again, that would definitely get out of hand trying to have so many columns. Like, as soon as I edit this and
Mhm.
add these columns here, well, it's layout, like I've
Yeah,
got
because
3
in
here.
original we had like 110, so I kind of concised them to 40, and those are the 40 ones that they really, really, really want. And so I'm
Yeah.
like, is it because there's no other way, right? Data repeater is the only way to go if like the user wants to add multiple data to the same thing. There's no other suggestion you have.
Yeah, no, yeah. If you're trying to add like the way
Hmm.
you're describing it with your 60 rows of all these pieces of information, the data repeater is probably better than trying to submit a separate form 40 times, 60 times, or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, something like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can definitely look into this documentation and come up with a better idea to
You,
kind of build this.
yeah,
Because
I
I'm
think if
also
there's
thinking about
any,
future too, like how will the decisions take that 60 records coming up? Because we get like 12,000 of those forms, and then I don't know. I'm thinking a lot of stuff before I even kind of build it in the long term.
yeah, you could maybe. You said you used sub dialogue. Are you using the sub dialogue on the data repeater itself?
No, so I'm
Or the
using
sub
on the
dialogues opens the form that has
yes,
the data repeater on it. Got it.
yes, that is correct.
I don't know how difficult. This is not.
Hmm.
Let me preface this. This is not a best practice. This is me just thinking out loud.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what the functionality or how it would be different if there was some kind of like sub dialogue button just simply on the data repeater itself, and then this would open a flow that would have a separate form, because the separate form you could make
Hmm.
the whole form look nicer, and then they would simply just add data, like click on the sub dialog button for different data repeaters and run it. I don't know if that would, it doesn't sound great now that I'm speaking it out loud, but
Yeah.
maybe that's something.
They're also really not tech savvy. They
Yeah,
just
that's
like
where
do one
it
thing
gets a
and
little
then
bit
they're
more,
done. Hmm.
yeah, it gets a little bit more out of control, I think, in general anyway.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough one. If you have so many fields like you do
Hmm.
to display all of that.
And then the score thing you showed is only on version 9, right? It's not on version 8.
Technically, it is on version 8. It's just a little bit more roundabout and maybe
Hmm.
not optimized.
Okay.
Um, because I'm assuming you're saying that because you're on version 8.
Yes, I'm on version 8.22.
Okay. I don't know about how early in version 8 if this matters, but why is this being difficult? Oh, let me just open something quick. No, it's not. I always forget where this is. Let me just make a quick test blow. History documentation, open view. No, it's not that. I swear I thought it was history. Audit history, maybe? No, it's not that. And I swear it was in here. There was a way. There is definitely a way to see it in version 8 with one of the things. I thought it was history documentation view. Now I'm
Eh,
completely forgetting it.
It's okay though. I can always like email it back and then ask you guys. I
Yeah.
was just curious how it is.
Yeah, it's like it's again, I don't know exactly how much
Mm-hmm.
because they've made changes to how it tracks the health score in
Mm-hmm.
version 9 as well, and I don't know how much of those changes they've made um on like the version 8 or not. So that also is maybe a part of like another thing worth considering. But there was a way. It was one of these right click actions. I don't remember. It might even be on our version 8 docs somewhere.
Yeah. I can always review those. I appreciate your help.
Yeah. Yep,
Thank you so
of
much.
course. No problem. All right. Do we have any additional questions?
Hey, Jeremy, just to let you know, I think I figured out what was wrong with what I was trying to do.
Oh, really? What was it?
I was trying to use an SVG image.
Oh, the type of image. Yeah.
It wouldn't show. When I switched it over to a PNG, that all worked. So that's where I was.
Mm,
I guess there's no way to convert on the fly in decisions that I'd have to just save them as a PNG somewhere and read them in.
yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Yeah, but I believe JPEG and PNG are like the ones that work,
Yeah,
but SVG does not. Good
yeah, that'll
catch.
work. I'll just have to make sure I save them as the size that I want them, I
Yeah.
guess. Do you know off the top of your head how you can limit the size that they'll show in an HTML area? Like, is there a way to do that? Like if you have a PNG image that's say, pretty big, but you just want to show it in a specific area. You want to size it down like to, 20% of what its actual size is, so it doesn't.
Yeah, that I'm not sure about. I
Yeah.
don't think there's any specific thing or way to set that unless it's something like within
I
here
don't
that I'm
think
not
there
as sure about.
is.
But yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think there's anything in here that would do that.
no, it'd have to be on like a step that would do that or something that would resize it, but I haven't seen anything either.
Yeah, I've never seen that. Can
Okay,
convert PDF to PNG.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I don't think there's anything there. Yeah, nothing on SVG stuff either. Yeah, I don't think there's a way to do that without going into some pretty
Okay.
deep,
I'll
complex
just have to make sure they're
testing.
saved at the size that I want them.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Any other questions? Last chance. Very light day today. Totally fine though. Actually, James, you are the only one in
Really.
here.
I'm really looking forward to that flex grid with the forms.
Yeah, the flex layout on the forums.
Yeah, flex layout.
Yep.
Just one, I've seen some demos of it. Have you used it yet?
Yeah, I actually got to do a bunch of testing to try to build some of our training forums with
So
flex layout to see how it worked and
will
find any
that
kinks.
help if you're creating like a form that's designed for a desktop? Will it help in scaling it to a mobile size?
I would imagine to some degree, yes, because one of the biggest things that you can do with it is when you set like these sizes,
Mhm.
you can basically set like minimums and maximums for them.
Uh,
So you can set like the minimum pixel length and maximum pixel length and things for these for like the not grids, but each control that you add into the
Uh-huh.
space here, and
Right.
then have it set so that if this, for example, these two, if this one is too small to fit, or like if this one just barely fits, instead
Mhm.
of being able to have these two next to each other, it can slide this one below it and then have it fit. So now like a form maybe that would look like two columns across the whole way on a
Right.
desktop might shrink because it can't fit fully on mobile and it becomes a form that has all one row on mobile. Um,
Okay.
Obviously without extensively explicitly testing that, obviously I don't
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah.
the way that it works, I would imagine as long as it's functioning in the same way by the time that they actually roll it out, then I would imagine it would do that.
Okay. That'd be
And I
fun.
believe that's part of the goals.
Yeah.
And I do think it's going to become the default layout instead of grid layout because of the kind of power of it.
Yeah. 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 It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's definitely an exciting feature. I had a lot of fun being able to toy around with it and try to get it to work with some of our training projects forms. All right. Well, we will go ahead and close off our lunch and learn then for the day. Got one more this week. Tomorrow I will be leading it. Any questions we got, happy to help and discuss. And I look forward to leading lunch and learn again tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.
Okay.